I'm calling in the creator to the CEO who crave creating community and cash to create it like a boss. With me, Katrina Julia, as your host, multi-passionate entrepreneur, creator, and CEO who has walked from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, and continues to, with experience in 7+ industries, 7,000 plus creators and startups, to creators to Fortune 500 brands, including Google, NBC, Victoria's Secret, and more. If you are ready to create it like never before in faith, wellness, wealth, marketing, business, travel, and more, this is the show for you. If this is your time to have freedom in all forms as you create it like a boss, let's create it.
The American Dream or Nightmare, a modern perspective on a dream of freedom. Hey, creator, let's talk about something real. The American Dream has been the go to blueprint for success for generations. Go to school, get a degree, get a great job, buy a house, work for 40 years, and retire with just enough time to maybe enjoy it. But in 2025, for millions of people, including me, the dream feels and felt less like freedom and more like a trap. So the question is the American dream still worth chasing, or is it time to rewrite the rules completely? Coming from an immigrant background, from Poland to possibility, I was conceived in Bulgaria, born in Poland, Katowice, Poland to be exact. By the age of 2, I was living in the United States with my family, wide eyed, hopeful, and surrounded by the belief that anything is possible. Like many immigrants, my family carried the weight of the dream. The belief that if you worked hard, kept your head down, and followed the system, success would follow. And for a while, it looked like it was working. I got the education, climbed the corporate ladder, checked every box society handed me. But behind it all, behind the quote unquote American dream, there was something deeper I had to face: disillusionment, misalignment, disorientation, debt, and the truth that I wasn't actually free. So whether you grew up in US, or maybe this resonates for you if you're in Europe or other parts of the world, other types of cultural expectations, familial weight, familial backgrounds, the origin of the dream. Back in the day, the American dream was built on hope. Immigrants came seeking opportunity. Workers believed in upward mobility and saw the evidence of that. Families believed if you could and did work hard enough, you'd make it. It was about freedom, prosperity, and possibility, and for many, it was real. But it's also important to know that the version of the dream was built on systems that left many out, especially people of color, women, and immigrants. Even as the nation evolved, the myth of success equals stuff took center stage, or meaning equals money, or meaning or money equals meaning. Degrees, job titles, mortgages, prestige. But behind it all, for many, it came disillusionment, disconnection, and debt. And many times, often depression, that money and or success does not guarantee that you will not be depressed. The modern reality, the dream versus the debt. In a world we live now, the cost of the dream has gone way up in many, many countries and continents, from the US to Europe and beyond. But the rewards, not so much. Economic pressures, rent, groceries, and health insurance rising through the roof. Student loan debt, 1.7 trillion and counting. Wages, barely budging. Even high achieving professionals feel stuck, making 6 figures but still living paycheck to paycheck, spending far beyond means, believing and buying into the force or the falsehood of FOMO, fear of missing out. Still, one of my favorite movie moments about money that I use often in presentations and workshops is Jerry Maguire and Tom Cruise screaming, "Show me the money," when Cuba Gooding Jr. tells him to say it. So social pressures plus mental health. We're told be more, do more, have more. And if you're not keeping up and keeping up with the Joneses, you're falling behind. This hustle for validation, this external validation cycle burns people out. Anxiety, depression, constant competition, comparison. No wonder millions are questioning the dream entirely. The immigrant perspectives and hope versus reality. For many immigrants and first gen families, the dream meant escape from oppression and a chance at freedom. But the reality? Often systemic barriers, cultural pressure, and a path that often felt twice as hard. Hope still lives, but it's layered with complexity and the challenge to be aware versus simply buying into the culture. I lived both sides of that, the deep pride of being an immigrant and the silent pressure to prove the dream right. When the dream turns into a nightmare. Back when I was in corporate finance, marketing, strategy, I looked successful on paper. I showed up in the black suits for the boardroom, the only woman in the room. I had the title, the salary, the track record, versus right now I'm filming this from rice fields in a bikini. But behind the scenes, I was deep in debt, stretched to the limit, and wondering if this was really what I worked so hard for, with being a slave to an office from 8 to 5 and beyond, from 3 weeks max of vacation, and that was on the positive side. Here's the truth. Owning a house doesn't equal the freedom if you're house poor. A 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5 or an 8 to 8 or a 9 to 9 won't build wealth if your income has a ceiling. A fancy job title means nothing if you're miserable and missing your life. Redefining the dream. The good news, you get to rewrite it. It's 2025. There is a new generation of creators, entrepreneurs, leaders who are choosing a different path. The creator economy, estimated to be in the trillions in the next coming years. It's already in the billions. Flexibility over burnout. Digital income over traditional debt. Workshops and retreats globally over being committed to one building. Authentic impact, influence, and income over validation and approval. Wellness and wealth over hustle and burnout. Freedom over control and confinement. This version of the dream isn't about stuff. It's about sovereignty. So I started really reflecting on the word sovereignty over the last several years, especially as I was digging into series with the Bible over a kingdom lifestyle, over what a queen looks and acts like, and what a king looks and acts like, and the character from the inside out. Being sovereign over your life, sovereign over your kingdom, choosing to rise, choosing to get better and better, and choosing to align to purpose, potential, passion, purpose, people, and profits. It's about building a life that reflects your values, your vision, and your voice. You're not behind, bestie, you're waking up. Let's create a dream that speaks to your soul. Your version of success doesn't need to fit anyone's blueprint or approval. It simply gets to feel aligned, authentic, and expansive, because freedom isn't found at the end of a 30-year mortgage. Freedom isn't traveling when you're quote unquote retired and can barely climb those stairs. It's about owning your passion, your purpose, your power, and your platform. Ready to flip the script? If you're a creator to CEO, it's time to embrace creating, and those who crave creating to create it like a boss. You can DM creator on Instagram at Katrina Julia Fit, and or follow the link in the show notes, and or follow along with the blog. And at the end of the blog, you can check out the creator resources, the creator templates, the creator school, and creator retreats. You are just one aligned decision away from a whole new dream, bestie. So leave a review on the show and drop your IG and or your website so I can shout you out. And as always, remember, create, transform, and inspire, because you are born to.